The woman who stepped out of the luxury car drew everyone's attention as she walked straight towards me. She then said, "I've come to pick you up in your car," and stood close to me, which caused a big stir around us. Joseph's mouth was agape. Who is that woman?" It wasn't me who answered Joseph's question, but the stunning model-like beauty, Jessica. "My name is Stephen, and I'm 30 years old. I work at a design and engineering company. Today is our high school reunion. It's the first time we've ever had one, but out of nowhere, an invitation had arrived. The sender was Joseph. We met in our first year of high school and pushed each other to aim for a prestigious university. We spent our afternoons studying in the library or study rooms, half studying and half chatting. Joseph and I especially loved cars and often debated about our dream cars. However, we went separate ways in our second year of high school. My father suddenly passed away due to illness. Although I could have tried to apply for university with scholarships, I decided to start working to support my struggling mother, so I got permission from the school to get a part-time job. The part-time job was at the design and engineering company where I now work, and I found the work there very interesting. During high school, they only let me do simple tasks, tracing someone else's designs or doing basic measurements. Eager to become fully competent, I decided to join the company full-time right after high school instead of going to college. When I told Joseph about this, he was upset. He said we had promised to apply for T University together. But my situation had changed drastically. Since then, I haven't been in touch with Joseph at all. I know he successfully got into the prestigious university we aimed for. It's been 12 years since then. I was genuinely curious about how he's been, so I decided to attend the reunion. Since the invitation was from Joseph, it seemed he was the organizer. I arrived early at the venue and looked for Joseph. I found him right away. Even in high school, he was tall, well-built, and handsome with sharp features. Today, he was wearing an expensive-looking suit, looking even more impressive. As I approached Joseph, he noticed me. "Hey, it's Stephen, isn't it?" He walked towards me with wide eyes. "Joseph. Long time no see. How have you been?" I greeted him as I handed over the participation fee, and he nodded with a smile. "I've been well, but really busy. The company I joined after graduating is extremely demanding. But, how should I put it? I feel like I'm really contributing to the country, and it's very fulfilling." Contributing to the country, that's quite grand. He works for a famous company that everyone knows. That's impressive, graduating from such a prestigious university and working at a top company. When I said that, Joseph puffed out his chest a little. "Yeah, I'm doing my best." "You are a high school graduate, right? I heard your dad passed away suddenly, that's tough. Such a waste of your talent." I smiled wryly. "I'm doing my best at my current company too. But I'm sure my efforts seem small compared to Joseph's." I didn't say much and changed the subject. "By the way, we used to talk a lot about cars back in the day. You always wanted a foreign car." When I mentioned this, Joseph's face lit up. "Oh. You have to hear this. I finally got my dream car." It was the European car brand that Joseph had always admired the most. Excitedly, he pulled out his phone and showed me a picture. "Look at this. The luxury and dignity of this style. Isn't it amazing? You can't help but fall in love with it." I nodded as I looked at the phone. I prefer domestic cars, but the overwhelming presence of foreign cars is undeniably impressive. But, the maintenance costs are really high. I don't feel comfortable taking it to just any shop for inspections. So I end up going to the manufacturer, which is expensive. And repairs. With foreign cars, sometimes the parts are discontinued. So getting original parts can be tough. It seems like he had hit his stride. Maybe the challenges of maintaining it are part of the appeal. Just then, my phone rang. It was Jessica. "It's someone from work, so I need to take this," I said to Joseph and answered the call. "Someone from work? Hey, it's your day off, right? Are you working for a sweatshop or something?" he teased. "Hello?" I ignored Joseph and took the call, but Jessica was silent. "Hello? Can you hear me? What's up? Puzzled by the lack of response, I spoke again. In the background, more classmates had arrived, and Joseph continued bragging about his car. Are you enjoying the reunion? Jessica finally broke the silence. Well, to be honest, not really. I admitted. I had come to talk to Joseph, but after just a bit of conversation, I was already exhausted. He probably didn't mean any harm, but all he talked about were his achievements. I'm sure he worked incredibly hard to get into that prestigious university, and his current job at a major company is demanding. His salary is probably high. And he owns a car that everyone dreams of. For a moment, I silently watched Joseph, who had changed a bit. Then Jessica said, "All right, I'll come pick you up," and hung up. What? I stared at my phone in disbelief. Why did Jessica call me in the first place? While I was puzzled, Joseph spoke to me again. Sorry, I've been talking about myself. What car are you driving now? I replied that I drive a domestic car. Joseph continued, compact cars have low maintenance costs, right? What kind are you driving? Show me. I think sporty-looking wagon types are nice, even if they're just compact cars. I sighed. Joseph, what's happened to you? I furrowed my brows and looked at him, making him uneasy. Sure, your car is cool. But every car has its own appeal. I prefer domestically made cars. When I said that, Joseph scratched his head awkwardly. Sorry, I was actually really looking forward to seeing you. Stephen, seeing you brought back all those high school memories. I felt betrayed when you didn't go to the T University with me, even though I understand why. I thought if you had come with me, you could have had a car like this too. I sighed. I'm sorry too. Maybe if I had explained things better back then, you wouldn't have felt that way. I found the work at the company where I had my part-time job really interesting and wanted to learn through practice instead of just studying. And after that, as I trailed off, a high-end domestic car pulled up outside the venue. That alone caused a bit of a stir, but when everyone saw the woman stepping out of the driver's seat, they were stunned. With a small face, thin lips, a sharp high nose, and almond-shaped double eyelids. Her slightly brown, wavy hair. Her well-proportioned figure, and long, slender legs peeking out from her skirt. The woman who stepped out of the luxury car drew everyone's attention as she walked straight towards me and said, "I've come to pick you up in your car," causing a huge commotion around us. Joseph's mouth was agape. Who is that woman? It wasn't me who answered Joseph's question, but the stunning model-like beauty, Jessica. My name is Jessica. I'm Stephen's assistant, she said, making a graceful bow. I held my head in my hands. Jessica took my hand and, insisting, "Let's go," tried to lead me back the way she came. Jessica, sorry. I just started to enjoy myself, I said, stopping her. Jessica widened her eyes. Just had a misunderstanding with an old friend. We just made up, so, sorry, I explained. Jessica smiled warmly. It's fine if you're having fun. Can I hang around and wait? If I wasn't enjoying myself, it would be rude to keep her waiting after she came to pick me up. I was about to suggest she head back when Joseph stepped forward. If you'd like, your assistant can join us. Jessica's face lit up. Really? Her smile was dazzling, nearly knocking everyone out. It's a buffet, so if you pay the fee, Joseph said, glancing at me with a grin. I silently took out my wallet and paid for Jessica. You are not really my assistant, and that car is a company car, I said as I handed over the fee. Jessica pouted. Hey, I was trying to make you look good. I chuckled. Jessica continued. Why not? You're going to be the next president. When you become president, I'll be your assistant, and you'll use that car. The room buzzed at her words. People started asking about my current situation. So I reluctantly explained that I had been working hard at the company where I had my high school part-time job, eventually being considered for the next president role. Jessica looked at me with a sly smile, but I tried not to involve her too much in my story. Joseph then said, I see, you were working hard too, Stephen. Sorry again for everything. No worries. I wanted to tell you everything back then. After we fell out in high school, I was a bit stubborn. Perhaps, can we hang out more often? Joseph nodded with a smile. As the reunion ended, I went for a drive with Jessica behind the wheel. She focused straight ahead, concentrating on driving. Watching her profile, I recalled how we met. I met Jessica in my second year of high school. It was a few months after I started my part-time job at the company, during the summer. During the summer vacation, a fourth-grade girl began coming to the office. It was Jessica, the daughter of Mr. Brown, the company president. Back then, the company was very small and family-like, and employees' children would often come by on days off. Jessica was there almost every day. She seemed to enjoy watching the adults work. She took a particular liking to me. She would watch me work closely. Her eyes sparkled with curiosity. A 10-year-old girl hanging around didn't seem like anything romantic. But Jessica was quite a mature girl. She would straightforwardly say, "I want to marry you in the future." When I brushed it off, she would get angry, saying, "I'm serious." The employees teased me, saying, "You'll marry the president's daughter and become the next president," which made a high school kid like me feel a bit awkward. However, when I graduated from high school and officially joined the company as a full-time employee, things changed. I convinced Mr. Brown, the president, to implement 3D CAD. I taught myself 3D modeling and incorporated it into our design and engineering projects, which increased our clients. As the company grew, it became harder for children to come and go, and I stopped seeing Jessica around that time. Self-study was incredibly challenging, but I enjoyed every bit of it. I loved that kind of learning. Around this time, my desire to go to college, which I had once given up, rekindled. Of course, I kept that desire in check because I was already working. But I wondered if I could at least take some classes to learn about the areas where self-study had its limits. Going to college now seemed impractical. Still, I wanted to attend university. One day, amidst this internal struggle, Mr. Brown approached me. "Stephen, have you considered going to college?" I was stunned when Mr. Brown, the president, said, "Thanks to your hard work, the company has grown significantly. I know you've been looking into universities because you want to study more. How about taking a leave of absence and attending college for 4 years? I want to support your aspirations," he said with a warm smile. I was moved to tears. I asked for some time to think it over. It was an incredibly generous offer, but I didn't want to leave the company short-handed for 4 years. After doing some research, I found a night school at a university. Fortunately, there was a night school within commuting distance that had the program I wanted to study. When I consulted with Mr. Brown, he laughed at my modesty. So, I enrolled in night school and studied to my heart's content. During this time, the company accommodated my schedule by adjusting overtime and weekend work, which was a huge help. I will definitely repay this kindness. With that determination, I continued to work hard after graduating from university. I actively incorporated the new skills I had learned at university into my work. These new skills were particularly effective in large projects, allowing us to offer proposals from various angles, even in urban development. So, as it turns out, I'm not just a high school graduate as Joseph mentioned. I forgot to explain this to Joseph, but I'm sure we'll have another chance to meet. One day, while I was busy applying my learned skills and helping the employees acquire them, Mr. Brown invited me to dinner. Mr. Brown had treated me like his own son since high school. We often had meals together, discussing various topics each time. I thought it was just another usual dinner that day. But when I arrived at the restaurant, there was someone else at the table besides Mr. Brown. It was Jessica, all grown up. Seeing me, she blushed and looked down. She had transformed from an assertive elementary school girl into a composed and stunningly beautiful young woman, and I hesitated to approach her. When I cautiously approached the table, Mr. Brown gestured for me to sit. I still vividly remember nodding nervously when he asked if I remembered his daughter. When I nodded, Jessica's face lit up like a blooming flower. Despite the initial tension, the dinner progressed pleasantly. Mr. Brown kept glancing at Jessica, and each time she would look down, until finally, "Dad, she said hesitantly. With a knowing smile, Mr. Brown excused himself to the restroom, leaving us alone. The tension between us increased. "I've wanted to see you for so long." Hearing those words from the now beautiful Jessica made my heart leap. Do you remember when I was in elementary school? I asked you to marry me? She looked up at me with a flushed face and pleading eyes. I nodded awkwardly, like a robot. Jessica took a deep breath and said the words she had prepared. I've loved you even when we couldn't see each other. Will you date me with marriage in mind? The words, spoken rapidly as if exhaling a long-held breath, pierced my heart. I met Jessica when she was still in elementary school. During my sensitive middle and high school years, while others were developing crushes on classmates or teachers, she had carefully nurtured the feelings she had since she was 10. I was deeply moved by that. She had kept her desire to see me suppressed all these years. She had heard about my hard work at the company and decided not to interfere. She had promised her father, Mr. Brown, to focus on her studies until she graduated from university. She worked hard to improve herself, worrying that I might marry someone else in the meantime. Once she was close to graduating and had a job offer from her father's company, she finally arranged to meet me today. Hearing this, I couldn't dismiss her feelings. When Mr. Brown returned from the restroom and said, "I'd feel at ease if it were you, Stephen," with a warm smile, I made up my mind. Definitely, I'd love to date you. Jessica, whose long-held feelings had finally been acknowledged, blushed deeply and shed tears. I knew I had to honor her sincere feelings. I made up my mind to do just that. As we drove, reminiscing about the past, these memories became precious parts of my life. I wondered if I was good enough to deserve Jessica's genuine feelings. Looking at her profile, I said, "Can we take a break?" indicating the parking lot of a nearby park. "Of course," I replied, and the car slowly pulled into the parking lot. It was a fairly large park, with a central area full of large playground equipment and a walking path around it. At the end of the path was a small hill with a gazebo. Jessica and I began walking toward the gazebo. "The stars, they're beautiful," she said. Looking up, I saw a sky full of stars. Maybe it was because we were in a place with few streetlights or because of the clear winter air, there seemed to be more stars than usual. "Yeah, they're beautiful," I responded, and Jessica chuckled. Her face seemed to shine more than usual. "I love you, Jessica." As I looked at Jessica's profile, I couldn't help but murmur those words. Jessica blushed deeply. "What?" All of a sudden. "I'm happy, though." I laughed softly. "Well, I was just reminiscing, and I wondered if I was good enough to deserve your sincere feelings." It made me realize I hadn't expressed even half of what I feel. I'm not very good at romance. After graduating high school, I worked tirelessly. While attending night school, time flew by like a storm. During that time, I had no romantic interests and was entirely focused on work. And once I start working, I get completely absorbed. I'm probably the most boring guy ever. Could someone like Jessica, who was 7 years younger than me, really be satisfied with a guy like me? A dull man like me with a beautiful woman who attracts everyone's attention. I don't think we match. Still, I don't want to let Jessica go. I'm afraid you'll realize someday that there are better guys out there. Jessica's face lit up. No way. Stephen, you really thought that? She looked incredibly happy for some reason. I had just confessed my insecurities, feeling completely pathetic. What are you worried about? I've only ever loved you since I was 10. Jessica looked at me as if waiting desperately for my response. Well, that's just it. There are so many great guys out there, but you only see me. I'm really happy, but, for example, Joseph. The guy I talked about today. He's smart, works at a big company, drives a foreign car, is tall and good-looking, he's better than me in every way. Someone as beautiful, kind, and cheerful as you would be a great match for a guy like him. I knew I was being self-deprecating. I thought Jessica might be disappointed, but she widened her eyes in surprise. Wow, Stephen, you really have low self-esteem. I didn't know that. I tilted my head in confusion. Well then, let me tell you how exceptional and wonderful you are. Jessica said with a chuckle, raising her index finger. First of all, you're incredibly hardworking. The reason our company has grown so much is entirely thanks to you. My father talks about it all the time. Her words made me feel a bit embarrassed. Secondly, you're really smart. You could have gone to T University if you had wanted to. I tried to be modest, but my mock exam results in my first year of high school did show I was within reach. Jessica continued to list my good qualities until I blushed and told her to stop. Stop. That's enough, I said, my face was turning red. Honestly, I was thrilled. It felt great to know Jessica saw me in such a positive light. Jessica looked dissatisfied but said, "Okay, then, just one more thing." She gazed at me intently. "The reason I fell in love with you was seeing your serious expression as you expertly controlled the mouse and keyboard to create designs on the computer. It looked like magic, and I fell for you." I was a bit surprised to learn that young Jessica was drawn to such a seemingly mundane aspect of me. If Joseph is like a foreign car, then you're like a domestic car. I was puzzled by this analogy. You're gentle and kind, which makes you more wonderful than someone flashy like Joseph. At that moment, I decided there was no time like the present. I took out the box I always carried in my pocket. Jessica looked surprised. "Thank you for understanding me better than I do myself. Jessica, you're beautiful, you work hard to stay fit, and you're kind and strong inside. To me, you're the perfect woman." Jessica listened without moving. "Honestly, I sometimes feel like I'm not worthy enough for you. But I don't want to lose you to anyone else. I want to be by your side forever. Will you marry me?" When our relationship started, it was Jessica who took the courage to confess her feelings. She had loved me for years. I always knew I wanted to propose to her myself. How long had I been carrying this ring? It was just an ordinary day when I was wandering around the city alone. The moment I realized I wanted to marry Jessica, my feet unconsciously led me into a jewelry store. As I looked at the sparkling rings, I found one that would look perfect on Jessica and bought it. I carried that ring with me everywhere, so that I could propose at any moment. It's embarrassing, isn't it? I have always wanted to marry you, but I couldn't bring myself to say it. Eventually, I started feeling insecure, thinking there might be better men out there for you. I'm glad that I finally decided to propose before anyone else could take you away," I said, holding out the box with the ring. I was anxious that she might not take it, but, "Really, are you sure I'm good enough?" she asked, making me almost stumble. "What? Now you're the one who's worried?" "Why?" I asked, flustered. Jessica looked down. "Because, my confession, I asked my father for help." I understood what she was trying to say. "It has nothing to do with Mr. Brown. I genuinely love you." This was something I could say with absolute confidence. Tears welled up in Jessica's eyes. Then, she gently took the small box from my hand. Jessica slowly opened the small box and, upon seeing its contents, murmured, "Wow, it's beautiful." It's not just about the price, but I splurged quite a bit to honor Jessica's long-held feelings. I couldn't imagine any ring other than this one, which perfectly matched Jessica's image. She gazed at the ring intently and slowly took it out. And then, "Here." She handed the ring to me. I took it and placed it on her finger. She held up her left hand, with the ring now glittering on her ring finger, against the starry sky. "I'm so happy, it's so beautiful, even more beautiful than this starry sky." In that moment, she looked more beautiful than ever. Just as foreign cars and domestic cars each have their own unique appeal, I realized I had qualities I hadn't acknowledged. Jessica had discovered those qualities in me. Although Jessica is undeniably a beautiful and charming woman, I believe I know her inner beauty better than anyone. I hope to cherish what I have now and continue to improve in areas where I am lacking. I want to further enrich my work life and eventually acquire the car I've always dreamed of. And most importantly, I want to live happily with Jessica. I have many dreams, and sometimes I worry if I can achieve them all. But with Jessica by my side, I believe we can achieve any dream eventually. Looking up at the star-filled sky, Jessica and I gently held hands.